Hi guys, welcome back to Martini Monday. It's been a really long time since I filmed one of these, and I decided to come back to it with what usually, honestly, is my drink of choice, and that's a nice, really cold glass of Prosecco. So no martini today, but we do have a really fun topic because we're going to talk about fall eyeshadow palettes, and not just any fall eyeshadow palettes. We're going to focus on the indie brands. So let's jump in. Cheers, everyone! Nothing beats a really chilled glass of Prosecco, in my opinion. Although some martinis come close. How have you guys been? This is the first time I'm filming in probably about a month, maybe even a little longer. I did film at least 3 videos at the very end of August because I planned to return then, and then the school year started and I got wrapped up in things. I had a concert, my mom had COVID, just kind of everything started back up, and I did not find time to edit until this week. So hopefully by the time you guys are seeing this video, I finally put up my collective summer haul, which, as I said, I filmed like a month and a half ago. I also did back then a video that was my summer eyeshadow palettes that I'm using as I transition into fall, because back then it was still fitting because we were still having 80-degree temperatures, and now we are, I think this week we're going to finally dip down into the high 40s in the evenings for the first time, and during the days we're having 60 to 70 degree weather. Also, as I'm filming this, Hurricane Milton, I think, is ravaging Florida. I have not checked the news for a few hours because I've been putting on makeup and trying to do this video instead to kind of take my mind off of it. If you are watching and you're from Florida, I hope that Milton spared you. I hope that all of your friends and loved ones are safe. Yeah, this one looks really bad, and honestly, I've been kind of on pins and needles all day, really worried for the people of Florida. But let's talk about happy things to get our mind off of that. First, I should introduce myself because, especially with me being on hiatus pretty much for a few months, a lot of you might not even remember me. Or if you're new here, then hi and welcome. My name is Natalia. I'm a concert pianist who loves all things makeup and beauty. This year, I am on a quasi low buy. I'm trying to rediscover as many things in my own personal collection as possible because I have not only tons of makeup in general, but tons of makeup that I have yet to try. I'm basically essentially my own beauty store here. If you're interested in following along on my journey, seeing me try out a mixed bag of products, both old and new, then I hope that you will consider sticking around and subscribing, and let's jump into the fall palettes. I decided I'm going to divide my fall palettes video into 2 parts. This is going to be indie brand edition, and then I'm going to follow that up with a mainstream brand video. I wanted to include 10 palettes in each video. Honestly, if I went through my entire eyeshadow palette collection and picked every single palette that I think has a fall-esque color story, I'd probably come up with like 50 to 70 palettes. I guess I gravitate towards a lot of fall colors, and I guess brands know that because clearly I'm not the only one gravitating towards them. I feel like almost every palette I open, with few exceptions, I can see something fall in them. So I decided to challenge myself to just 10 in each of these videos, and as you guys might know if you've seen a few of my other seasonal eyeshadow palette videos, I haven't filmed nearly all of the ones I intended to. I pulled out summer palettes, never filmed that video. I pulled out my summer to fall transition palettes, never filmed that video. Well, did film that video, but didn't post it, so I feel like it's too late by now. So we're trying to get our act together over here, but still do the same system of pulling out half palettes that I already know and love for that season, and half palettes that I own but have yet to ever try. Did I cover everything? I'm rusty. Clearly I'm rusty, and I'm always chatty, so that hasn't changed. I usually say let's do one that I've already tried, one brand new, and then I forget. Let's try. Let's start with a sister palette to actually what's on my eyes, which is not part of this video. The Dirty Martini palette from Glam. If you guys still have this, pull this out. Look at this green goodness. This is so beautiful. I love this palette. I've forgotten how much I love it. I haven't used it nearly enough lately, and I'd really like to this fall season. I mean, it has almost every shade of green you can possibly want, and if you guys don't know, I love green eyeshadow looks. I love green in general. It's not necessarily my favorite color. Used to be turquoise, so I guess that's sort of in the green blue family. Honestly, I don't even know if I have a favorite color anymore, but I love plants. Clearly, I love my greenery, and I love martinis. So I mean, this is just perfect for me. The reason I got this collection is because it was perfect for me. There's a lot of really beautiful shades, and I like how there's quite a lot of variety at the same time. So while it is a green palette, you also have quite a few neutrals. You have this brown, you have this like peachy, it's not a gold. To me, it's more of like a peach champagne. The high class shade is like a green gold. And then you have some of the more blue shades. There's this pink, which one would think is random, but I think it's great to again mix things up. I really enjoy this palette, and I really need to pull it back out. So I think the fall season is going to be a great time to do so. Speaking of greens, this is a palette that I got in my Odensai mystery box earlier this year, and I have yet to try those palettes. Maybe I've tried one of them, I honestly can't remember, but this is the Stone and Rock palette. This is another palette that is a beautiful combination of neutrals and greens. This looks absolutely magnificent. This just looks like such a gorgeous palette. And yet we have a white, we have this very pale, shimmery, like a blue. So that could be a fun, maybe inner corner. There's these beautiful deepening shades that I really hope perform well because they look like just stunning colors. There's a few shades that almost look flakier in the pan, like lightheartedness, and this one here in the center, what is this one? Gleefulness. Was this the collection where they had a spelling error on one of the shades? I'm trying to remember now. I know there were a few of those in the past year or so, and I was always a little mystified by that they didn't double check, but no, I think this palette is fine. I wonder if it was the other one from this collection. Regardless, it is a gorgeous palette. I hear slightly mixed things about Odensai online from all sorts of beauty content creators, so I'm really curious to try them out more for myself. The only palette that I actually could have included in this video too, but as I said, if I included everything, we would have had like 70 palettes. I have the original Angelica Nyquist collab, not the 2 Halloween palettes that she came out with last year, but the Hella palette that she originally came out with. So that was really the only Odensai palette I have ever tried in the past, and another one I should revisit because I haven't used it in a while, but I'm really curious about this one. If you have it, can you let me know what I should expect? If you have any favorite shades that I should definitely be dipping into, because of course, with the fact that I don't wear makeup every single day, although I'm trying to do it a little more often, I'm not going to get through all of these palettes and definitely not all of the shades, but I'd like to try as much as possible. Speaking of collabs, even though I haven't showed you any up to now, let's go to one of my favorite collab palettes ever, and that is the Adept Cosmetics and Heather Austin palette. Until I picked up one other Adept palette and a few other indie palettes, yeah, I want to say this was my most special palette as far as the super blingy shimmers, the textures that I had not really come across before that in any other palette. Club Nebula from Kaleidos and this were my 2 most unique, most special palettes. And I haven't used this in a hot minute. That is really a shame because it is a gorgeous palette. I remember creating a few magnificent looks with this, and I'm really curious to see what else this palette can create, and really hope that I have time to play with this one this fall. By the way, I'm sure you have seen a lot of these videos going around. Please don't feel tempted to jump on these palettes and start buying them. Explore your collection first. You probably have at least a few of these if you're an avid makeup lover, and if not, maybe something else that really reminds you of fall, and share down below what palettes you're going to be using this season. I'd love to know. You're about to see why you shouldn't jump on every single palette that looks pretty to you, because some people like myself then don't get around to using them for a really long time time. The rest of my new palettes, maybe I should just do them all together, honestly, because they're all from the same brand. There was a sale from Unearthly Cosmetics, but it's been quite a few months. And I don't know, Unearthly has been a brand I've been fascinated with for such a long time, ever since they were Alien Cosmetics initially. I had one of their palettes, can't remember if I decluttered it in my last declutter or not, but it was still under the Alien brand, and I didn't feel like the color story was really something I vibed with, and the quality was just okay. My understanding is their quality has skyrocketed in the past year, and of course, me being me, instead of just trying one palette, I decided, well, since they're on sale, I just gotta catch them all and try them all for myself. And they're still sitting in my drawer of shame. So we're gonna change that, because I feel like Unearthly Cosmetics is one of those brands where almost every single one of their eyeshadow palettes might as well be the dictionary definition of a fall eyeshadow palette. You know what? I'm just gonna show you all of the ones that I already know that are my tried and true fall eyeshadow palettes, and then we're gonna finish with Unearthly. Sydney Grace Mountain Trail, because this girl can never have enough neutrals and greens in the fall. Can never. I love this palette. I can't wait to use it some more. I have so many Sydney Grace palettes that are stunning that it's always tough for me to choose which one I want to use on a whatever given day that I've decided it's going to be a Sydney Grace day. So I like having a Sydney Grace palette in my seasonal rotation just to kind of make that decision quicker for me. The only thing about a lot of Sydney Grace eyeshadow palettes I've noticed is for somebody as fair as me, even their light palettes don't always include a light enough shimmer or a light enough matte. And in this case, honestly, I feel like I could have used maybe one of each, but especially a lighter shimmer. But it's still a gorgeous palette. I will still make it work. And I've been leaning more towards mid-tone or even darker colors, as you can probably see today, unless I'm doing a one and done, which is something I've also been into lately. Right. And then we have one that a New Yorker cannot possibly not include in her fall picks for indie brands. This is the Nomad Cosmetics Hudson Valley palette. Their Chicago Speakeasy palette just got released, and I still haven't pulled the trigger, but I think I'm about to, maybe even tonight after I finish filming. I shouldn't financially, but that palette is speaking to every fiber of my being. I love Chicago. I've met some of my YouTube friends in Chicago. I've been to Chicago several times. It's one of my favorite cities outside of New York, and it's a speakeasy palette. It's perfect for me. But what's perfect for fall is this palette right here. Hudson Valley is gorgeous this time of the year. I always try to get out for one day on a hike or something during this leaf changing season. Don't know if it's gonna happen this year, certainly hope so, but regardless, especially if I don't, this is gonna have to fill my cup of beautiful leaf colors. This palette is just perfect. The mattes perform so well, and I do love the fact that there are cooler tone shades, green shades, and then of course the pumpkins and the reds, and beautiful shimmers in the center. So I could not have included this one. It's just, yes, it's an obvious choice, but it's an obvious choice for a reason. And then the last palette from ones I've already have tried and really enjoy, and I think would be great for the fall, is actually an older Lunar Beauty palette, the original Moon Spell. I pulled this palette out for two reasons. First of all, I do think the majority of this palette can work really well for the fall, but also I haven't used it again in a while, and I'd really like to. We've got neutrals and greens, of course, but then we have some more mauve-y tones, which I think are great, especially going into November for me. And then of course the spooky purples for October, and this really offbeat like silvery pink. So again, lots of options, lots of variety here, and lots of mix and matching that can happen to create some really fun looks. Gorgeous packaging. This is probably one of my favorite packaging ever. I was considering doing, I see now going around in October the whole like spooky palette collection. I don't have a lot of specifically Halloween themed palettes. I only have a few, but definitely I could go through and see which palettes remind me of Halloween, and of course that probably would make it into that video. So we went through the 5 that I already are my tried and true favorites that I think would be perfect for the fall, and then then out of the new ones, the Odin's Eye. Let's talk about all the Unearthly palettes. One that they brought back, I believe, in the newer formula and packaging is the Lore palette. I've always wanted to try this palette. It was on a really good sale. I decided to bite the bullet. Here's another one actually that could be great as a Halloween palette because of all of these fun oranges and greens and a few very spooky dark colors. We've got these gorgeous berry tones up on top. I think this color story, even though it's only a 9-pan, really presents itself for quite a lot of variety. It is a bit colorful for what I've been doing for the most part, but I think even if I decide to go more neutral with this, I can find a way to use that palette. So really hoping to get to this one. Then there's the Leather and Lace, which maybe upon first glance, some people would think is not really fall appropriate, but I think it's absolutely perfection for the fall because you again have a green row, a warm toned row, and a berry row. I think this is great for the entire fall season. So this could hold me through for pretty much any occasion in the upcoming 3 months. I really think this is such a simple and yet well thought through color story. I love the gradation of the mattes and then the matching shimmer to go with each row because they all have a little bit of a shift. Is this the one I'm excited for the most? I don't know, but this might be the first one I use just because it seems the most accessible as far as creating a very quick and easy look. And we have Sorceress Smoke. This actually is probably my favorite color story of these. I don't know. It's hard to say. They're all beautiful. They really all are. I mean, look at this one. You guys probably know because this is not new. These palettes have been around for a while. Everybody else already has fallen for the hype. I am like the last one to board the train. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what I think. There seems to be a quad situation happening if one wants it to. I guess it's not really even meant as a quad. It's meant more as maybe duos because I feel like we've got a more pinky, a more warm, neutral, a deeper duo, a very deep and grungy smoky eye duo, and then of course we have these two different types of greens. So that to me is more like a quad. Regardless, I think the layout is actually really smart. I like that the mattes and the shimmers are intertwined. I usually prefer to have all mattes and all shimmers on one side of the palette, but this is cute too. If you have any of these Unearthly palettes, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what is your favorite so that I know which one I should try first. And then of course I could not buy the Fall Magic. In fact, I think I purchased the other 3 palettes and then this one was like on wait list or whatever. So I had to wait for my order for quite a bit because Sorceress Smoke was out of stock at that moment. But I think Fall Magic was what lured me to the website. And then of course other things somehow just landed in my cart. This, to me personally, even though it's called Fall Magic, has the most colors that I probably would use less of in the fall because it has a lot more pinks and berries than I tend to gravitate towards. I really only need, 1 or 2, but of course, I'm loving this green quad here. I really like Spice, the neutral brown. I think it has a very beautiful undertone. In fact, all of the mattes, maybe with the exception of the pink, are really stunning. I mean, the pink is stunning too. It's just maybe not my first go-to. Though, once in a while I do a pink look. I feel like, I don't know, winter and spring is when I do more pink looks, but maybe we'll spice it up. Do pink looks in the fall as well. And maybe I'm gonna love that. And those are the 10 palettes that I have pulled out as my fall picks for this year. So we have 4 palettes from Unearthly Cosmetics because I just absolutely cannot wait to try these. And if I get through all of these, maybe I will rank them at the end and let you guys know which one is my favorite from the 4 that I got. I'm really excited to try the Odin's Eye Stone and Rock palette. I absolutely cannot wait to play with my Heather Austin and Adept. Dirty Martini is a trusty green palette, as is Mountain Trail. Very different formulas and color stories. So even though I did pull 2 green palettes, I think we've got some murkier, more nature-inspired greens here, and then of course a bit more fun pops of green colors in this one. So I think that that's going to be really fun. The Moonspell palette is very beautiful. And of course, the Nomad Hudson Valley is the quintessential fall palette. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know down below, what are some of your favorite fall palettes? Not that I'm looking to pick up any more palettes, but it's still fun to know what is out there that maybe I haven't even heard of or didn't think of. Maybe I have some palettes that I should pull out if I get through all of these. So definitely give me ideas down below. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope that you guys are all doing really, really well. I hope that you're continuing to stay safe and healthy. Take care of yourselves and those around you. And I can't wait to see you in my next video. Cheers and bye, guys.